Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome to my home. Grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, glass of water, some lemonade, whatever you want. We're going to be making some banana muffins or banana bread, whichever you want. But we're using a secret ingredient, at least I think so. I've been making this recipe for over 30 years. It never has failed me. I love it. I think it's simple and easy to use. Probably everything that you have in your kitchen. No, it is not a two ingredient muffin, but sometimes you just want something different. So I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to just jump in and I'm just going to make it. And at the very end, I will do a screenshot of the recipe for you so that you can jot it down or even take a screenshot from the TV yourself. And if you did not see my Be Kind Challenge video, go back and check that out for the month of September. We are challenging each other to be kind, and you can catch the video and see what that's all about. I'd love for you to join me on that. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It helps my channel, and then you get notified every time that I promote a new video. And don't forget to like this if you don't mind, and leave a comment. I love the comments, so it's great. Thank you so much for being kind with your comments. Okay, so we're going to jump in. I am using a cookbook, Missionary International Cookbook from Greenwood Hills, 1986. So yes, very old. This was my mother-in-law's cookbook. I have one that I received as a wedding gift, or not a wedding gift, but a bridal shower gift, and started using it because I figured missionaries are on the field. They don't have, you know, a shop right down the street or a Stop and Shop or a grocery store they can run out to. They have to use what they have in their home and figure out how to do things. And pretty much that is what this cookbook is all about. But there's a banana muffin recipe in here. Again, I will give you a screenshot at the end. So what I've done right now is I'm making a double batch. So the recipe I will give you on the screen will be for a single batch. I am doubling everything. So I have put in here, I had 5 bananas. It calls 3 per loaf or per batch. I had 5. So we're going to pretend there's 6 in here. And I've just kind of took a spoon and smashed it up and have it in here nicely like that. So that's what we're going to do. But before I can go any further, what I need to do is I'm using a half a cup. Again, I'm doing a double batch, and you need to add vinegar to sour the milk and make it lumpy and kind of like a yogurty, buttermilky texture. Yes, I make up words like, you know, milky and all that kind of stuff, but you know what I mean. Okay, so it calls for vinegar. I normally, for 30 plus years, I have used white vinegar. That's all I've ever used. But the other day, by mistake, I was busy talking, and I pulled this out of the cabinet, my apple cider vinegar. I don't know what it did to the bread, but if you watched my video a couple of nights ago, I talked about how I gave this to a few people as a gift, and everybody raved and raved and raved. I never even got any. I just baked and I gave it out to put a smile on people's faces, and they all begged me for more. So I don't know what the difference was other than apple cider vinegar was used. So we're going to call these apple cider vinegar banana bread banana muffins. So you want a tablespoon per quarter of a cup. So I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons, and we want to do that in the beginning because it needs to curdle the milk. That sounds kind of gross, but let me get the vinegars aside. But yes, actually I'll leave that out here as a reminder that that's the one we're going to use. And you want it to curdle the milk. So I'm going to just give it a little stir, and you can actually see it already. It's separating. I don't think you can actually see it. Let me see if you can see that on the spoon. Can you see that on the spoon? Maybe not. Okay, well, we'll show you at the end. It's going to get a little thicker. We're going to let that just sit. Now I'm going to put in flour. You think after all these years I'd have this recipe memorized, but I do not. So again, I am doing a double batch. Put that in the back. And it also calls for oatmeal. which is kind of a nice touch. Gives it a little bit more of a grainy kind of texture. And I am a bit of a rebel in the kitchen. I don't like having to do different bowls for different things. So I know sometimes they say do your wet and do your dry. And yes, in some recipes, that's really, really important that you do that. But this one, you do not. It's very forgiving. So we're going to add our sugar. All right, honey, can you possibly grab me how many eggs? I forgot to, do I need eggs? Yes, I need 2 eggs. So actually, I'll tell you what, we'll be right back. Let me grab those eggs and then we'll continue. Okay, I have my eggs, so we're gonna get these in here. 2 eggs. And we're gonna put our oil in here. See how this is coming. All right, a few more minutes on that. Bananas, working on the vinegar, working on the milk. We did the oil, we did the eggs, the sugar, we did the oatmeal, we did the flour. I now need baking soda and baking powder. So half a teaspoon, which would mean 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And baking powder, I need 1 teaspoon, which would mean I need 2. All right. Need a pinch of salt. So because we're doing 2, we'll do 2 pinches. Voila, that's all done. That's good. Put our eggs in here, get them off. Okay, so we have dumped in here our flour, our oatmeal, our baking soda, baking powder, our sugar, our oil, and our bananas. Now we're going to add our vinegar and milk. And let's see, it's getting quite thick. Quite thick. So you can see it's kind of the consistency of yogurt. So we're going to pour that in here. Clean my hands off a little bit. And I don't know if you can see this. You see, if I wish I had a better angle. You can see the top of, you can see it's foamy. See that foam? That's from the vinegar and the baking powder and the milk and all that coming together. So now what do we need? I need to get my mixer. I'm going to mix this up. So how are you guys doing today? Did you have a good day? Woo! Turn that off. Did you have a good day today? I am actually having the day off, and I have on the back pot of my on my stove. I have a pot with a chicken carcass cooking up. I'm making some chicken broth because we're making some homemade soup tonight. We're making refrigerator soup is what we're making, all the leftovers and bits and pieces, and we'll have fry bread with that. But on one of my free food hauls, I got a package of pork taco mix meat with sauce pre-done in a bag. So that is my base. I'm putting that in with the chicken broth, and I have some peas and carrots I'm going to add. I'm going to add some dried dehydrated mixed vegetables to that, and I had some fried rice I made the other night. You might have seen that video, and I have leftover that's going in the pot, and I might even add like a half a cup of barley. Why not? Well, let's just make a soup. So I'll be making that, so you'll be seeing that on the video up and coming. So that'll make a nice harvest style soup with some fry bread on the side. I had done a video a few days ago, and somebody said to me, one of the comments of, you're not doing your son any good by cooking for him. He needs to learn to take care of himself. And I am in full agreement with that. Absolutely. My oldest son, by the time he was 12, could run a household. Maybe not perfectly, but he could clean a house. He knew how to budget. He knew how to grocery shop. I'll have to share with how I taught him how to do that one time, and he could wash his own clothes and make his own meals. And again, not perfectly at 12, but if he had to, he could run a home. but he's an average kid. My youngest is adopted, and he has special needs, 5 diagnoses, one of them which is autism. So, you never know what somebody has on their plate. So before you make a judgment call on that, I think it's always good to know that not everything that you see on camera or in someone's life is the full picture of what it is. And my son, yes, he can make sandwiches, and yes, he can use a microwave. But sometimes the stove is not something he or I feel comfortable with because of his special needs. And the same with my husband, who has epilepsy. I can't have him over a stove and have a seizure. So one of the choices I made, particularly myself, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but that I made, and I'm letting this froth as we're talking for a minute. It's really, let me show you real quick. It's foaming up quite a bit. Can you see that? Ooh, how's that? See that foam in there? I'll jiggle it a little bit. So while it's frothing, I can chat for a second. But I made a choice over 30 years ago, and I was a career woman. I worked for the airlines, and I traveled the world, and I loved my career. I was never getting married. I loved what I did. Loved. Why? I didn't need anything. I was content. And all of a sudden, one night, I met this man. He stole my heart. Love at first sight. Absolutely. 30 plus years later, I'm married to my best friend. And I made that choice to marry him. And we made a choice to have children in our home. And so those choices that I made were my choices. And I am honored to be able to cook for them, to clean for them, to plan things for them. And in turn, they lavish me in love and divine attention. It is just overwhelming some days on the love that I get back from them. But we all have choices that we make, and the choice I made was to be a wife and a mother. And for me, that takes priority over my job. So when I have a day off, I made meatballs today. I'm in the process of making brownies, making homemade soup. We're making fry bread. I'm making some banana bread. And see what else I could possibly muster up in that. But on my days off, I want to be a wife and a mother. I have to work, and I love to work in the same aspect. But yes, I take care of my boys, and my oldest son is married and has a wife, and I treat the two of them, and I spoil them rotten. I treat them special. They're still my kids. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that yes, my son is being taught basic life skills. We will be moving into the school year, and that is full on basic life skills until he's 21. But you don't know the whole picture, so I wanted to share that with you, that I find it an honor to be able to take care of my family in that way, and I enjoy it. So this is nice and frothy. So let me show you one more time. You see that? All right, here we go. We're just going to mix it up. This is it. So turn it on low, because obviously you don't want your kitchen to be wearing banana bread all over it. And yes, I need a bigger bowl, but I don't have a bigger bowl. So I do what I can do with what I have. One of these days I might treat myself to I go to one Amish, they call it an Amish Walmart. I have to take you there. And they have great baking stuff, and I might treat myself to a bigger bowl. But I also have a tiny kitchen. Not tiny. I shouldn't say tiny. I have a small kitchen. To some of you, this might be a large kitchen. To all my friends, this is a very small kitchen, and I don't have much more space in it to store anything. And so we work with what we have, you know. It's okay. The bread still tastes the same whether it's done in a big bowl or a little bowl. All right, let's mix this up. Turn it up a little bit. Give it a good mix. Now, some of you might say, oh, you should do this and you should do that with your banana bread. You know what? After 30 years, it comes out good every time. I'm good. I'm happy. So if you want to do it differently, you go right ahead. But this recipe is delicious. Okay. Get those in the sink. Get this unplugged. In the bucket. Off to the side. I am using one big loaf pan and 2 smaller loaf pans. We're just going to spray those up. You can do butter in the bottom of this. You know, you can spread your butter around. You can use lard in this. What I like to do, and I'm not going to do it today, but I like to do it in the fall late fall and winter, I will spray this and I will sprinkle cinnamon and sugar on the bottom. And then when it bakes, it kind of gives it a crusted, like a burnt cinnamon taste. Oh, that's another way. Just if you wanted like a different taste. But this one, we're just doing plain old banana bread that you can have for breakfast with some peanut butter, some jam. Just make a nice plain piece of bread with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. So this one's nice. It's got a handle. So I'm going to pour some in here. Get that going. We're going to spread the wealth with the other two pans. You want to try and go up about halfway, depending on what size pan you have and how much batter you have. You just do your best. And if you're making muffins, obviously you're just going to put them in a muffin tin instead of doing it in a bread pan. Because I'm giving this away to people, I find it easier to make a loaf of bread than muffins, because then sometimes it's like, how do you transport the muffins on a plate and then they can get squished and all that good stuff. So, okay, that is it. I have my two small pans. See that? I have my one large pan. And we're going to pop these in the oven on, I forget, what do I do? 20 minutes on 350. Well, actually probably about 25 minutes for the big one. And everyone's oven is different, so you put it on 350, start with 20-25 minutes, test them. You know how to prick them with a knife. If you've never done that, I don't have a knife handy, but you can stick a knife in it or a wood. I use a skewer sometimes, and if it comes out dry, you know it's done. If it comes out really gooey, you know it still needs some cook time. I know some of you told me you're just starting to learn how to cook, so that's a little tip for you. So we're going to pop this in the oven. I'll bring it back. Let me get all my baking stuff away. While this is cooking, I'll bring it back. I'll let you see what those loaves look like. And take a sip of your coffee, and we'll be right back. Hey everyone. Okay, banana bread is ready. Woo, look at this. Okay. Smell test. Yum. Springy, soft, moist. It is burning hot under here. I did use a serrated knife and cut a couple of pieces so you can see them. It is like moist. Can you see that? Does that not look good? Yum. Smells great. So I did make two small loaves and I made one large loaf. So this was a double batch. And again, I will at the very end leave a screenshot of the recipe. So this is apple cider banana bread. Oh, do you want some of that tomorrow morning with breakfast? You've got the recipe. Go ahead and cook it up. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, it is Be Kind Challenge Month. So watch that video if you didn't see it. Let me know how you're going to be kind this month. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave me a comment, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.